The world watches with bated breath. The stakes couldn't be higher. The future, not just of Ukraine, but of global security and democracy itself, hangs in the balance. In today's news, a significant development from the G7 summit, a powerful reaffirmation of support for Ukraine and a resolute stand against Russian aggression. President Biden, in a display of unwavering resolve, has pledged continued and strengthened support for Ukraine, signaling America's commitment to defending democracy against authoritarianism. This pivotal moment has far-reaching implications, reshaping the geopolitical landscape and setting the stage for a potential turning point in this brutal conflict. President Biden's pledge to stand with Ukraine is not merely a political maneuver, it's a defining pillar of his foreign policy agenda. It signifies a return to America's traditional role as a defender of democracy and a beacon of hope against tyranny. This commitment goes beyond financial aid and military equipment. It's about restoring America's credibility on the world stage and rallying allies against a common threat. This unwavering support has tangible consequences. It emboldens the Ukrainian people, bolstering their morale and fueling their fight for freedom. It sends a clear message to Putin that his aggression will be met with unwavering resistance and that the world stands united against his brutal campaign. This stance has also galvanized NATO allies, leading to increased military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine. The implications of this commitment extend far beyond the borders of Ukraine. It signals a shift in global power dynamics, a reassertion of American leadership in the face of authoritarian expansionism. This renewed focus on international alliances and multilateralism marks a stark departure from the isolationist policies of the previous administration. Biden's commitment to Ukraine is not just about defending a sovereign nation, it's about defending a rules-based international order, one where might doesn't make right, and where aggressors are held accountable for their actions. The G7 summit serves as a critical platform for the world's leading democracies to address pressing global challenges. This year, the summit took on an even greater significance, overshadowed by the specter of war in Ukraine. The eyes of the world were on these leaders as they grappled with the most serious threat to European security since World War II. The gravity of the situation was palpable. Leaders engaged in intense discussions, weighing the potential consequences of each decision. The summit became a crucible, forging a unified response to Russian aggression and charting a course for future action. The message was clear. The G7 nations stand united in their condemnation of Russia's actions and their unwavering support for Ukraine. The significance of this summit extends beyond declarations of solidarity. It provided a forum for concrete action plans to be developed and implemented. From crippling economic sanctions to increased military aid, the G7 nations sent an unequivocal message to Putin that his actions will have severe consequences. The G7 summit was not just about responding to the immediate crisis, it was about fortifying the foundations of a rules-based international order. It was a testament to the enduring power of diplomacy and the importance of collective action in the face of global threats. The G7's condemnation of Russia's actions goes far beyond mere rhetoric. It carries real weight on the international stage. This united front against Russian aggression sends a powerful message that the world is not buying Putin's propaganda and that his actions have consequences. The impact of this condemnation is already being felt. Russia finds itself increasingly isolated on the world stage, its economy crippled by sanctions, and its standing in the international community severely damaged. The Kremlin's narrative is crumbling, exposed by the unflinching resolve of the international community. Furthermore, this united front serves as a deterrent against further escalation. Putin, now facing the combined might of the world's leading economies and military powers, must carefully weigh his next move. The G7's condemnation serves as a stark reminder that the world is watching, and any further aggression will be met with swift and decisive action. This united front is not just about punishing Russia, it's about upholding international law and the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. It is a message to all would-be aggressors that the world will not tolerate such blatant violations of international norms. The Biden administration's approach to the crisis in Ukraine stands in stark contrast to the policies of the previous administration. While Trump often appeared to cozy up to Putin, questioning the value of NATO and downplaying Russian aggression, Biden has taken a firm stance, rallying allies and reaffirming America's commitment to transatlantic security. This difference in approach is not just about style, it's about substance. Trump's transactional view of foreign policy, often prioritizing personal relationships over national interests, eroded America's credibility on the world stage and emboldened autocrats like Putin. Biden, in contrast, has made it clear that America is back, ready to lead with its values and stand up for its allies. This shift in foreign policy has had a profound impact on international perceptions of the United States. Allies, once uncertain about America's commitment, have been reassured by Biden's leadership. The contrast between the chaos and unpredictability of the Trump era and the steady, experienced hand of the Biden administration is striking. This renewed American leadership is not just about restoring America's image abroad, it's about rebuilding trust with allies, strengthening alliances, and restoring America's standing as a reliable and principled leader on the world stage. The crisis in Ukraine has underscored the critical importance of international unity in addressing global challenges. The united front presented by the G7 nations, along with their allies and partners around the world, has been instrumental in providing support for Ukraine and holding Russia accountable for its actions. This unity is not just about political rhetoric, it's about tangible action. The coordinated sanctions imposed on Russia, the provision of military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, and the diplomatic efforts to isolate Russia on the world stage are all products of this united front. This collective action sends a powerful message that aggression will not be tolerated and that the international community will stand together to defend the rules-based international order. The power of this unity extends beyond the current crisis. It demonstrates that when nations stand together, they can overcome even the most daunting challenges. This spirit of cooperation and collective action is essential not only for resolving conflicts, but also for addressing other pressing global issues, such as climate change, pandemics, and economic instability. In a world increasingly defined by complexity and interconnectedness, international unity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The crisis in Ukraine has served as a stark reminder that we are all interconnected and that global challenges require global solutions. The G7's commitment to Ukraine goes beyond words. It's about providing concrete support to help Ukraine defend itself and rebuild its shattered economy. This includes not only military aid but also humanitarian assistance, economic support, and diplomatic efforts to isolate Russia and bring an end to the conflict. On the military front, the G7 nations have pledged to continue providing Ukraine with the weapons it needs to defend itself against Russian aggression. This includes advanced weaponry such as anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles, as well as intelligence sharing and training for Ukrainian forces. The goal is to bolster Ukraine's defenses and deter further Russian aggression. Beyond military aid, the G7 is also providing significant financial assistance to Ukraine, helping to prop up its economy and provide essential services to its people. This includes direct budget support, loan guarantees, and humanitarian aid to address the urgent needs of millions of Ukrainians displaced by the conflict. The G7 is also committed to helping Ukraine rebuild in the long term. This includes supporting reconstruction efforts, attracting foreign investment, and promoting economic growth. The goal is to help Ukraine emerge from this crisis stronger and more prosperous than ever before. Most of the money would be provided in the form of a loan from the U.S. government that would be backed by windfall profits being earned on roughly $300 billion in immobilized Russian assets. The vast majority of the money is being held in European Union nations. The situation in Ukraine remains fluid and unpredictable. The G7 summit has provided a moment of clarity and resolve, but the road ahead remains long and uncertain. The world watches with bated breath as this crisis unfolds, hoping for a swift and peaceful resolution. However, one thing is clear: the world will never be the same. This crisis has tested the very foundations of the international order and forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about the fragility of peace and the enduring threat of authoritarianism. The decisions made in the coming weeks and months will have far-reaching consequences, shaping the geopolitical landscape for generations to come. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this developing story, and be sure to subscribe to this channel for more updates on global political developments.